Hello, students. Welcome to Super Grads, and I am your English mentor, Sana Jaffrey, and I'm here with a much requested video, right? It is on IPMAT 2025 VA preparation strategy. A lot many students, a big horde of students have been asking us that what is the perfect study plan for preparing for IPMAT 2025. कैसे पढ़ें, right? कैसे आगे बढ़ें when we don't know where to start? So I'm sure there's so many confused souls out there who are wondering how should we study? कितना पढ़ना है? कैसे पढ़ना है? So here at the outset itself, let me tell you very categorically that your study plan can never be generic. Okay, that's the reason why we actually ask our students to come up to us, right? We assess their strengths and weaknesses, and accordingly, we suggest a customized and a tailored plan as per their potential. Okay, so this is what we do very actively during our mentoring sessions with our students. But then, still, for all of you people who are a part of our YouTube community and all my students, I have come up with a generic plan. Okay, again with a caveat that yes, this is just a generic plan, right? And you may need some extra things here and there depending on your weaknesses, on your areas of comfort, so on and so forth. But by and large, this plan is very good enough to get started. ओके तो ये कंसिडर करते हुए कि इमेजिन करिए आपने अभी स्टार्ट की अपनी प्रेपरेशन या कुछ महीनों से 2 से 3 महीनों से अगर आप प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं so this plan would be just ideal for you. Even otherwise, if you've been into this preparation for some time, even then this works well enough, right? So I've come up with a nice detailed plan for droppers, 11th and 12th students separately. ठीक है, so stay tuned till the end. Okay. So here we talk about our beloved droppers, right? सबसे पहले सबसे ज्यादा काम इनको करने की जरूरत है, right? Stakes are really high. Fine, they don't have any pressures. They are, supposed to invest themselves completely into IPMAT preparation, right? So no distractions and enough of it. Now let's get to work. The first and the foremost point is bolster your vocabulary and comprehension skills. This examination tests your comfort level with the language. It tests your verbal ability, aptitude, your proficiency with the language. And in this, the two most important things for me, as I have analyzed in the previous year papers, vocabulary and your comprehension skills. And when I say IPMAT, I mean, not just Indore. I'm also considering Rohtak. I'm also considering JIPMAT. I'm also considering IIM Bangalore examination. So after studying all their, previous year papers, I feel that the thrust has to be on your vocabulary and your comprehension skills. So minimum 1 hour of reading droppers with diverse reading. Now here you can split this up into two parts. Half an hour of editorial reading from Indian Express or The Hindu. You can do this. And the second half, you can, actually do any kind of eclectic reading. There are a host of magazines. There are numerous, you can pick up some books. But the piece of suggestion here is that it should be diverse. Don't stick to one genre, diversify. Okay. Regarding the sources, this is not the right time to tell you about the sources. Maybe separately, I'll come up with some nice reading resources for you. Okay. As of now, experiment. Sometimes you read business, someday you read science and technology, someday literature, someday philosophy, someday psychology. So it's great if you diversify. That's a must. Minimum 1 hour, baki jiski jaisi shraddha. Okay. All right, 2 RCs every day. Passages are very important. At least for the first few months, you will have to do 2 RCs every day so that you don't lose your grip. And this should be followed by very rigorous and thorough analysis. Now, if you have been struggling in passages, you can increase the number of RCs per day. Okay, but this is the minimum that you have to take up. 5 clusters per day. All right. Now you might be wondering, why am I focusing so much on vocabulary? Because your papers are very much vocabulary dominant. And when I say clusters, I mean when you do a word, you don't do the word alone. You do it with synonyms, at least 4 to 5 synonyms. Rather, I would say take up 5 to 6 synonyms and a word with a sample sentence. This is a cluster. This is what I mean by cluster. Don't do words alone. Do them in groups. That's the right way. One session of word power made easy per day. Is that too much? Droppers can easily afford this much. Okay, and they should do it. But again, as I say, word power made easy is actually optional. ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है कि आपको एक किताब पढ़ना ही है और उस किताब को पढ़ने के बिना आप क्रैक नहीं कर सकते. Nothing like that. It is recommended, however. Fine. 12th वालों को मैं नहीं बोल रही हूँ to take up this, but then 11th वाले and droppers, you must do this. Okay. But again, it's a recommendation. If you don't find this book palatable enough, because there are many students who somehow, I don't know why, but they don't enjoy reading this book. So for them, alternate, एक हमारे पास में alternative मौजूद है, वो है 2 to 3 root words per day आप कर लीजिए. Web resources बहुत सारे हैं that have root words. Arun Sharma has root words and numerous other books that have ample of root words. So root words के through आप कर सकते हैं. मेरे भी कुछ videos हैं, you can actually refer to them. So whatever be your resource that I'm not talking about right now, but then either you do this or you do that. इसमें से कुछ एक तो करना होगा. 30 idioms per week. I don't think this is a daunting task because idioms are very important. You get 5 questions of idioms straight away. You've been getting that year after year. And in all the examinations, idioms have a significant weightage. So you better prepare idioms. And I think कि आपको कोई endlessly नहीं करते जाना है. A point will come when you feel that, okay, fine, I've done enough of idioms. So that is when you can have a pause. 20 pair of confusables per week because you get 5 questions straight based on confusables in IPMAT Indore. Again, in our RSMs, we have a list of hundreds of idioms and few a very good pair of confusables is also given there. So you can use your RSM as a wonderful resource initially to begin with till the time you're done. Once you're done, you can take a pause. So ये endlessly नहीं करते जाना है, but बीच-बीच में, at least for the first few weeks, you will have to follow this, right? So ये clear है. So this first slide was dedicated to what? It was dedicated to vocabulary and your comprehension skills. So if you do this, you will be very strong with RC and everything related to passages and comprehension. Next. Now this is very interesting. Now, apart from these two topics of vocab and grammar, vocab and RCs, there are a host of other questions which appear in your paper. So here what I've done, I'm asking you to take up alternate weeks of grammar and verbal ability topics. मतलब एक हफ्ता आप ग्रामर कर लो, दूसरे हफ्ते फिर आप वर्बल एबिलिटी के टॉपिक्स कर लो, आप ऑल्टरनेट कर सकते हो. Because what I've seen is that students sometimes, when they start grammar, then they only keep on studying grammar. Now, grammar is very vast. And then you lose your edge and then in your classes, topics होते रहते हैं VA के और वो आपके छूटते जाते हैं. उस टाइम आप उन पे बिल्कुल फोकस नहीं करते हो. फिर ग्रामर पढ़ते पढ़ते बोर हो जाते हो. अगर आप एट स्ट्रेच ग्रामर पढ़ते जाओगे तो फिर ग्रामर पढ़ना ही छोड़ देते हो, पूरा इंग्लिश ही छोड़ के बैठ जाते हो. तो ये नहीं करना है आपको. So this is a suggestion that you can take up alternate weeks. So what I'm saying that target बना लिया that 2 topics of grammar I have to take per week. This is for droppers. अब आप ऐसा भी कर सकते हो कि जैसे जैसे आपके टॉपिक्स क्लास में होते हैं वैसे वैसे आप कर सकते हो. बट देन ऑल दोज ऑफ यू हु आर डूइंग सेल्फ स्टडी, फॉर देम you can make your own target and this is not a very big thing. हफ्ते में 2 टॉपिक ही करने, एक नाउन उठा लिया, एक दिन मान लीजिए आपने प्रोनाउन उठा लिया, या एनीथिंग एल्स फॉर दैट मैटर. सो द आइडिया इज दैट यू हैव टू prepare these topics but very thoroughly, right? If you're attending classes, so make sure that you have your class notes and then you have to go back home and pick up a reference book, a nice grammar book which is dependable. Okay, refer to that also. Then you have to solve practice questions. Fine, तो questions आप कहाँ से करोगे? Book में जो questions दिए होंगे you'll take up that. राइट, क्लास शीट्स में जो भी क्वेश्चन बचे होंगे वो लोगे. एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट आपको जो आरएसएम दी है, जो हमने बुक दी है, उसमें भी कुछ बहुत लवली एंड अमेजिंग क्वेश्चंस हैं बेस्ड ऑन एवरी टॉपिक. सो यू हैव टू प्रैक्टिस ऑल ऑफ देम टुगेदर. दैट इज व्हेन आई विल से दैट यस, योर टॉपिक इज डन. So this is very much manageable. Now the second week I'll take up verbal ability and I'll pick up any 2 topics and I will practice them. Good enough. Now normally verbal ability ke, there are some topics which don't actually have a lot of theory, so you just have to practice the question straight away. Fine. So here there are some important VA topics: para completion, para jumbles, fill in the blanks, right? Idioms, word usage questions based on confusables, right? So we have these questions. Now, apart from it, these are some questions which are not very important, but then they appear in, because they don't directly appear in IPMAT Indore. But then they will be in JIPMAT, they will be in Rohtak. Here and there, you will get these questions. For example, analogies on and off kabhi aa jayega. Close test JIPMAT mein aaya, on and off aaya. Synonyms, antonyms is definitely important, but then this is being covered automatically when we are doing vocabulary on a daily basis, right? So, the ones in bold are really important. So, you can pick up any two in a week. Like you can say that, okay, fine, one day I will do 10 questions of para completion, right? I'll do the same for 2 days. Then I'll take up 10 questions of parajumbles for 2 days. That is, matlab, this is not going to take more than 4 days. And how much time will you take to solve these 10 questions? But every time you practice, follow it up with thorough analysis. Where did you go wrong? Why did you go wrong? Etc. I hope this much is clear. So this is what you have to do. This looks very manageable. Matlab, चाहे आपका ग्रामर वीक हो या आपका वीए वीक हो, जो भी हो, आपको इसमें कुछ घंटे ही देना है. बहुत ज्यादा आपको, आई एम नॉट आस्किंग यू टू पुट इन 10 hours every day. I have come up with very reasonable and attainable targets so that you start studying, but then you must have this target in your mind. These weekly targets you must have. कब पढ़ोगे, कितने घंटा, कितना टाइम दोगे, that depends on you. ओके, तो आपको मैंने क्लियर फ्रेमवर्क दे दिया है. आई हैव मेंशन्ड बीए टॉपिक्स आल्सो. ग्रामर के टॉपिक्स यू ऑलरेडी नो. इफ यू डोंट नो, इन माय प्रीवियस वीडियोस आई हैव डिटेल्ड आउट द syllabus, the VA syllabus. That is where you can find out the topics in detail. All right. Now, finally, don't skip tests. Droppers, you will have to take up 2 to 3 topic tests per week. Now they are available on our portal. And I would suggest that as we do one particular topic, as it is completed in the class, or you practice it at home on your own, whatever the case may be, make sure that हफ्ते में 2 से 3 topic tests हो जाने चाहिए. They're not very lengthy tests. Okay. One sectional test per week you must take. One mock test 1 to 2 weeks. 1 से 2 हफ्ते में एक मॉक होना चाहिए. देखो, मेरे हिसाब से तो हर हफ्ते में अब एक मॉक तो मैं स्टार्ट कर देना चाहिए. बट ऐसा होता है कि जैसे कि आपको पता है कि मैथ्स का सिलेबस अभी पूरा नहीं हुआ है, या यू फील दैट इंग्लिश में भी काफी टॉपिक्स नहीं हुए हैं. इफ यू स्टार्टेड लेट, सो कंसिडरिंग दैट आई एम सेइंग कि ठीक है, फिर 15 दिन में एक मॉक दो, लेकिन दो जरूर. एंड एज days will pass, I want you to be very very frequent with your mocks. जैसे जैसे हम आगे बढ़ेंगे towards the examination, right? जैसे जैसे February आ जाएगा and all that, तो फिर आपको frequency बढ़ानी होगी. 2 mocks per week पे हम आ जाएंगे. Fine. So I hope you have understood the entire picture. And if you methodically and strategically and religiously stick to this regimen, I am very sure that आपका VA से touch बिल्कुल नहीं छूटेगा and you will perform very well in this. All right. Now we come to this, the study plan for 12th ke bacche. Now 12th class students are in a fix. They're going through a very difficult time. They have to balance their 12th preparation along with IPMAT preparation. So एक मैंने minimum बताया है जो मेरे हिसाब से होना ही चाहिए. And फिर भी I would say there will be days when you will have your pre-boards, then you'll not be able to follow this. I understand. उस टाइम की बात अलग है जब तुम्हारे एग्जाम चल रहे होंगे, प्रैक्टिकल चल रहे होंगे, कुछ चल रहा होगा, प्री बोर्ड चल रहा होगा, बोर्ड चल रहा होगा, उसकी बात नहीं मैं कर रही हूँ. बट इसलिए अभी वी हैव टाइम, तो यू कैन एक्चुअली मेक योर स्ट्रॉन्ग फाउंडेशन, अ रोबस्ट फाउंडेशन. ओके, दैट इज very very important, very much needed. Minimum 30 minutes of reading every day. उनको मैंने 1 hour बोला तो आपको 30 minutes बोला. Now here I am considering that you have started your preparation in 12th. You don't have the base. In case you have the base, बट मैंने मोस्टली देखा है कि 11th के जो स्टूडेंट्स होते हैं, दे नॉर्मली टेक देयर प्रिपरेशन वेरी लाइटली इन द फर्स्ट ईयर. सो वेदर यू स्टार्टेड इन 12th or you have been doing it from 11th, I don't see a huge difference, unfortunately, because 11th students take their entire preparation for granted. Okay, so Anyway, let's not get into it. 30 minutes of reading you must pump in. All right, 8 RCs per week. Now, this number is not fixed. The idea why I've come up is because students want numbers, they want quantification, they want clarity. You can actually manage with 6 to 8 RCs. As I told you in the beginning, it depends on your proficiency level with RCs. If you feel you're good enough with RCs, you don't have to do that much, but you have to do something so that you're not out of touch. And RC practice is very rhythmic in nature. तो वो आपका रिदम नहीं छूटना चाहिए, आपकी प्रैक्टिस नहीं छूटनी चाहिए. 3 clusters per day because टाइम आपके पास में कम है and there's a lot to cover up. Okay, so considering that there are going to be moments when आप कुछ नहीं पढ़ पाओगे, इसलिए बहुत जरूरी है कि आप अभी at this juncture अच्छे से scale up कर लो and you kind of pace up and ace your exam. Alternate weeks of idioms and confusables. I don't ask you to do idioms and confusables every week just the way I gave them clear, precise targets. I'm not giving you clear number. But then you should know that, okay, fine, this week I have to take up a few idioms. The next week I'll take up a few confusables. This depends on the time that you have at hand, okay, and your aptitude. Okay. Get exposure to root words. You don't have to do word power made easy. Without that, you can crack, but then you will have to take up root words. Word power made easy में root words भी दिए हैं और साथ में थोड़े clusters भी बताए हुए हैं, उन्होंने thematic vocabulary बताई हुई है. That's the reason why you get a nice treatise of different root words and clusters in one read. That's the reason why everybody recommends that book. But if you don't like it, it's okay. If you like it, you please go through it. कुछ भी कर लो, रूट वर्ड्स आपको अलग से थोड़ा कर लेना चाहिए, माय सजेशन. ओके, सो वी डन विद दिस. The same goes for you, alternate weeks of grammar and VA topics, 2 topics per week, the same. But for you, you have to focus more on these topics particularly. The rest of the topics, you can actually skip them and we can actually get, like when we are taking tests and when we take mocks, that much should be enough. And merely attending classes, you will be able to crack analogies and spellings and close tests and all that. We're not investing a lot of time in this, but you can alternate, because these things need practice. अगर आप एक दिन बैठ के 10 क्वेश्चन लगा रहे हो, it is not enough. Maybe after 2-3 weeks, you will need more practice. And you have these resources in your modules and your books. Fine. And topic tests and all that are available. Take tests. जैसे आप ले सकते हो. Once your practice is over, then you should get into the testing mode and try taking topic tests. Fine. So 12 students. That was for you. And now we come for the 11th students, the most laid back students, right? The most relaxed ones. अभी तो हमारे पास में 2 साल हैं. Fine. So the idea here is, the moment I say कि अभी तो हमारे पास में बहुत time है, we tend to get very, very, जिसको कहते हैं, too chilled out. Don't do that. Use this year for your fundamentals. Your fundamentals have to be very robust. Okay? ये जो साल है, पहला साल, फोकस आपको करना है योर रीडिंग एक्सरसाइज एंड योर वोकैब्युलरी एंड योर ग्रामर फंडामेंटल्स. Other things will follow. If these things are in place, other things you will be able to develop and ace yourself in the next year. So minimum 1 hour of reading every day can be adjusted as per your exams. Obviously, that we also understand. You have exams, you will not be able to do that much. But for the rest of the days, this is the target for you. 8 RCs per week, 3 clusters per day, alternate weeks of idioms and confusables. I'm not giving you a number. That's up to you. 1 session of word power made easy in 1 to 2 days. You're investing 2 years in this preparation. Your basics have to be strong. Your fundamentals have to be intact. Please understand. आपको 1 से 2 दिनों में एक सेशन का टारगेट करना चाहिए. I recommend very strongly that you take up Word Power Made Easy. It's a good book. You will get a nice exposure on words and you will become very good with your language, right? So this is what you should do. And in a few weeks, you will be through with the book. Once you're through with the book, then you will hop over to something else, right? I have not quantified a lot many things here, but please understand. Study topics in detail as and when they're covered in your class and practice enough questions. Try to cover at least 2 topics per week. Like, for example, you had 1 to 2 classes of English, and in that, we covered like 2 topics. So then go back home, study it again, refer to some books if and when needed, and then try out a couple of questions. जैसा मैंने आपको पहले बताया कि किस कैसा steps आपको follow करना है. Okay, so the class notes coupled with the theory given in the books, and then a lot of practice questions from multiple sources. Okay. Try topic tests and practice questions. Practice आपके लिए बहुत important है. Work on your fundamentals. Intensive studies required. You're getting a lot of time, so you have to invest that much amount of energy into it, right? Focus on RC vocabulary, grammar, idioms, confusables, and para completion. You can focus on these questions. I've not mentioned para jumbles because para jumbles in IPMAT Indore is anyway very tricky, right? And you have one more year, so then you can definitely manage that. But then if you target these things, I'm sure RC, vocab, grammar, idioms, confusables is very easy. If you focus on these topics itself, I think you can get a very, very good score in English section. It will not be that daunting at all. But then, as I say, you need to have a very, very robust concept base. That's important. Try to take up 1 to 2 topic tests per week. At least 1 topic test won't be much, 30 minutes. You can take out that much time, I believe, right? So that's all. And class, thank you so much. I hope you've got much clarity about this कि कैसे करना है, क्या पढ़ना है, कितना पढ़ना है. बाकी तो this is just a framework. जिसकी जैसी श्रद्धा, जितना ज्यादा आपका inclination, उतना ही बढ़िया. Please write to us if you have any queries. I'll make sure that I answer to your queries. All right. That's all for today. Thank you so much. Bye. Take care.